You can't guarantee success. You can't even guarantee avoiding failure or a crisis. You can only improve your odds. Another way of looking at that is, for example, in the case of Boeing, there isn't a single string of bad decisions that led to a bad outcome. There are parallel threads of bad decisions, each of which reduced the chances for Boeing to succeed. All of those bad decisions, in the light in which they were made in the mindset of Boeing's managers at the time, seemed like good decisions, or at least decisions that would advance the decision makers' careers. Let's take a look at three parallel decisions that all seemed like a good idea at the time. Building an all-composite lightweight widebody, the 787, was a magnificent idea. It could have been the crowning achievement of an engineering-oriented airplane maker. But the decision was made in parallel with other decisions that interacted in ways that are obvious in hindsight, but must have seemed like even more awesomeness at the time. Reducing Boeing's dependency on in-house engineers by pushing more design and manufacturing tasks out to suppliers looked like, on paper, a fine idea. There are industries where getting ahead of a trend of what's called horizontalization, like what happened in the PC industry and what is happening now in electric vehicles, is something good managers should look for the opportunity to do. But as it turns out, the execution of this idea was a disaster for both strategic and tactical reasons. It turns out commercial airliners couldn't be built that way, and Boeing is even now engaged in reacquiring suppliers like Spirit Aerosystems to undo some of what was done for the 787 project. Building a factory to build this plane in an anti-union state using less skilled workers seemed like a great money-saving idea. All of these ideas were readily justified in spreadsheets. I can imagine a newly hired MBA given the task of creating the 10-year pro forma P&L or building a factory in South Carolina. The lower labor costs are fat and juicy. When the lines cross after the capital expenditure, profits and cash zoom upwards. Number goes up. And that is how separate ideas that seemed like good ideas nearly killed the 787 project, and with it, Boeing. Boeing ended up tens of billions of dollars over budget and deep in debt. The lines on the 787 P&L might never cross. The money may never be made up by selling 787s, no matter how fine an airplane it is, over the entire lifespan of that product. Still, somehow, share buybacks continued to seem like a good idea, even after such a colossal financial disaster. That's money that could have been spent on building back the engineering culture after what should have been a humbling lesson. But senior executives who play at the highest level are hardly ever humbled.